Welcome back to our channel, Asma English. Today, we have a new and relaxing English listening story designed to help you improve your pronunciation, vocabulary, and understanding. In this episode, we will visit a peaceful orchard and learn the names of different fruit trees in English through a calm and beautiful story. So, find a quiet place, put on your headphones, and enjoy listening. Farmer Yusuf was a man whose life was deeply connected to the land. He had spent more than 30 years caring for the soil, planting new trees, and watching them grow season after season. His orchard was not just a place of work, it was his home, his pride, and the place where he felt most alive. Every path between the trees held a memory, and every branch reminded him of patience, hard work, and the quiet beauty of nature. Yusuf lived in a small, peaceful village surrounded by rolling hills and soft golden fields. Each morning, before the sun fully rose, he left his small farmhouse with a warm smile, carrying a basket and a gentle spirit. The air was cool, carrying the smell of dew and earth. Birds began their early songs as he stepped into the orchard, greeting each corner as if greeting old friends. He believed that trees were like people, each one unique, each one with its own personality. Some trees grew strong and straight, others curved gently as if bowing to the wind. Some gave fruit early, others took their time. But Yusuf loved them all the same. He often said that trees speak, not with words, but with colors, scents, and the way they grow toward the sunlight. Through the years, he learned to understand these silent messages. He could tell when a tree was thirsty, tired, or ready to bloom. He knew the rhythm of each season and how the soil changed with every rainfall. And above all, he understood that patience was the heart of farming. Nothing in nature rushed, everything grew at the right time. Chapter 1: The Lemon Tree. Farmer Yusuf loved walking through his orchard early in the morning, when the air was still cool and the sun had just begun to rise. As he stepped onto the soft soil, he reached the first row, where his lemon trees stood proudly. Each tree had a trunk that was light brown and a little rough, as if it had been brushed by the wind for many years. The branches spread outward in gentle curves, forming a wide umbrella of deep green leaves. When the breeze blew, the leaves shimmered like small pieces of glass reflecting light. The lemons themselves hung like golden lanterns. Their bright yellow color was so vivid that it almost lit up the orchard. Some lemons were oval, others slightly round, but all of them had a textured skin that felt bumpy under the hand. When Yusuf picked one, the scent immediately rose into the air, fresh, sharp, and full of life. It was the kind of smell that could wake someone up even if they were half asleep. He explained that lemon trees were strong and loved sunlight. They needed steady watering, but not too much, because their roots preferred to breathe. He often trimmed the branches to help the tree focus its energy on growing healthy fruit. The blossoms, which appeared before the lemons, were small white flowers with a gentle fragrance that mixed sweetness and citrus. Bees loved visiting them, filling the orchard with a quiet buzzing sound. Yusuf always said the lemon tree was a symbol of brightness. Its fruit could flavor tea, add life to meals, or become a refreshing drink on hot days. As he touched one of the branches, he smiled and said that taking care of lemon trees taught him patience. Nothing rushed, nothing forced, just steady growth under the sun. Chapter 2: The Grapevine. Farmer Youssef continued his walk until he reached a long wooden structure built especially for his grapevines. Unlike regular trees, grape plants did not stand tall on their own. Instead, their thin trunks twisted upward like ropes, holding on to the wooden beams for support. The vines crawled and climbed, spreading their long arms across the structure to create a ceiling of green leaves above his head. The leaves were wide and shaped like open hands, with deep veins running through them. Clusters of grapes hung down in beautiful bunches. Some were green and shiny, others purple and rich in color. Each grape looked like a small bead, smooth and glowing in the soft sunlight. When Youssef touched the clusters, they felt cool and firm. He loved the sound they made when lightly shaken, a soft, delicate rustle. The skin of the grapes was thin, but it protected a burst of sweet juice inside, which made them one of his favorite fruits to taste during harvest season. He explained that grapevines needed both care and freedom. They liked warm weather but also needed air to move easily between the leaves, so he kept the vines trimmed and organized. Watering had to be balanced. Too much could harm the roots, too little could dry the plant. During the early season, tiny flowers appeared in clusters before turning into grapes. These flowers were so small that many visitors didn't even notice them. Youssef said grapevines reminded him of families. The branches were connected, supporting each other as they grew. The fruit depended on the whole plant working together, from root to leaf. And like families, grapevines needed guidance but also space to grow naturally. As he walked under the green canopy, he admired the soft shade the vines created, making this corner of the orchard feel calm and peaceful, a perfect place to rest on a warm afternoon. Chapter 3: The Peach Tree. Farmer Youssef reached the middle of his orchard, where the peach trees stood in soft rows, spreading a warm and gentle sweetness into the air. These trees were shorter than some of the others, but their beauty was impossible to ignore. The trunks were a mix of light brown and gray, with smooth patches and rough spots that showed the tree's age. The branches curved outward like arms offering a friendly embrace, and the leaves were narrow, long, and slightly pointed at the tips. When the wind blew, the leaves danced softly, creating a quiet whispering sound. The peaches themselves were like small, fuzzy suns hanging from the branches. Their colors blended beautifully, soft yellow mixed with pink and deep orange. When Youssef held a peach, he could feel the gentle fuzz that covered its skin, a texture that was unlike any other fruit in his orchard. The scent was delicate but sweet, almost like a light perfume that drifted slowly through the air during the early hours of the day. Before the peaches appeared, the trees produced some of the most beautiful blossoms in the orchard. The flowers were pale pink, small, and arranged in clusters along the branches. When the blossoms were in full bloom, the entire orchard seemed to glow with soft colors. Bees visited them constantly, moving from flower to carry pollen and help the tree grow its fruit. Youssef always said that peach blossoms were the orchard's celebration of spring. Peach trees needed careful attention. They required pruning every season to remove weak branches and help the sunlight reach the developing fruit. Chapter 4: The Apricot Tree. As Youssef moved deeper into the orchard, he arrived at his apricot trees, which stood proudly with their broad crowns and sturdy shapes. The trunks were darker than the peach trees, with a rough texture that felt like sandpaper when touched. The branches spread wide and strong, dividing into many small twigs that held the delicate fruit. Apricot leaves were heart-shaped, smooth, and bright green, giving the trees a lively and cheerful appearance. When sunlight passed through them, they glowed softly, creating patches of warm light on the ground. The apricots were small, round, and warm-colored. Their skin was smooth, not fuzzy like peaches, and came in shades of yellow and soft orange. Some fruits carried a gentle blush of red on one side, especially where the sun touched them for long hours. When Yusuf picked an apricot, he loved how firm yet tender it felt in his hand. The scent was sweet, with a hint of honey, making the trees feel like a natural dessert hidden inside the orchard. Apricot blossoms arrived early in the year. The flowers were small and mostly white, with touches of pale pink near their centers. When these blossoms covered the branches, the trees looked like they had been dusted with snow. The sight always filled Yusuf with hope, even though early blossoms also meant the trees needed protection from cold nights. He often checked them before sunrise to make sure the young buds were safe. Apricot trees required steady care. They liked dry weather and didn't tolerate too much water, so Yusuf watered them carefully to avoid harming the roots. He trimmed the branches after every harvest to help the tree breathe and allow sunlight to reach all parts of the crown. He considered apricot trees to be disciplined and reliable. They produced fruit quietly, without demanding attention, and their harvest always came earlier than expected. Chapter 5: The Apple Tree. Farmer Yusuf continued toward the northern edge of his orchard, where the apple trees grew in tall, tidy lines. These trees stood straighter than many of the others, with thick trunks and strong roots that held firm in the earth. Their bark was rough, dark, and full of texture, telling the story of seasons filled with wind, rain, and sunshine. The branches stretched upward confidently, carrying clusters of oval leaves that were deep green on top and lighter beneath. When the wind blew, the leaves flipped gently, creating waves of shimmering green. The apples hung proudly from the branches like polished ornaments. Some were bright red, others green, and a few were a perfect blend of both colors. The skin of an apple was smooth and firm, cool to the touch even on warm days. When Yusuf lifted an apple to his nose, he could smell its crisp, refreshing scent, a promise of juicy sweetness inside. He loved listening to the satisfying snap when he bit into one during harvest season. Before apples formed, the trees were covered with charming blossoms. The flowers were white with soft pink edges, giving the orchard a dreamy, delicate beauty. Bees visited them constantly, buzzing happily as they worked. Yusuf always believed that apple blossoms represented hope and new beginnings, because they appeared each year with perfect timing, no matter how harsh the winter had been. Apple trees were among the hardest workers in the orchard. They required careful pruning, steady watering, and protection from insects. Yusuf regularly checked each tree, removing weak branches to keep the crown open for sunlight. He explained that apples grew best when the tree's energy was balanced, so he thinned the young fruits early in the season to allow the remaining ones to grow larger and sweeter. As he walked beneath the apple trees, he felt proud. They were dependable, generous, and strong, just like the farmers who cared for them. Chapter 6: The Pear Tree. At the far end of the orchard, where the ground sloped gently downward, grew Yusuf's pear trees. They stood tall and elegant, with slender trunks that rose higher than many other trees in the orchard. The bark was light gray and patterned with small lines that looked like nature's handwriting. Their branches stretched upward like open arms, carrying clusters of glossy, oval leaves with slightly pointed tips. The leaves were a deep green that shone brightly under the sunlight, giving the trees a polished, graceful appearance. The pears themselves hung in smooth, elongated shapes. Their skin was soft to the touch and came in shades of green, yellow, and sometimes a rosy blush where the sun warmed them. When Yusuf held a pear, he enjoyed its gentle weight and sweet aroma, a scent that mixed freshness with a hint of floral perfume. The fruit ripened slowly, becoming softer and sweeter as the days passed. He explained that patience was the secret to enjoying the perfect pear. In spring, the pear trees exploded with blossoms. The flowers were white with tiny dark centers, gathering in small clusters along the branches. When the blossoms opened fully, they looked like snowflakes floating in the breeze. This part of the orchard became a peaceful sanctuary, filled with soft colors and the gentle hum of bees visiting each flower. Yusuf often stood here silently, admiring the calm beauty of the pear blossoms. Pear trees required thoughtful care. They preferred deep watering but needed time to dry between sessions, and their branches had to be pruned carefully to keep the tree strong. Yusuf watched over them closely, guiding their growth and protecting them from strong winds. As our journey through Farmer Yusuf's orchard comes to an end, we have walked beside him through 6 different fruit trees. We discovered how each tree has its own shape, color, scent, and personality, from the bright lemons to the soft peaches, the early apricots, the crisp apples, and the elegant pears. Each tree showed us something different about nature, patience, and the beauty of growing things with care. Now, it's your turn. Here are 4 questions for you to answer in the comments. Which fruit tree was your favorite in today's story? Which description helped you imagine the tree the most? Which fruit do you enjoy eating the most in real life? What new English word did you learn from this story? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to support our channel. See you in the next story.